Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me on 10 Minute Tuesday. I'm super hype about this episode. I got my bro, my dog, Anthony Smoak on here in the building. What's up, man?
All right. Hey man, glad to finally make the list, man. This is the hottest show in the data, the data sphere out there. So happy to
Uh,
get the invite.
man, always, man. He showed me around. So quick backstory, he showed me around Atlanta, Sequel Saturday. Always follow each other online. When
Yeah,
we met in person, man, it was all love. So appreciate you, bro.
yeah, most definitely. Same, man.
Awesome. All right, so we've done a number of these. It's 10 Minute Tuesday, so let's go ahead, Anthony, introduce yourself.
All right. Well, my name is Anthony Smoak, and I am a senior manager in enterprise and data and analytics at a consulting firm. And then on the weekends, I'm a content creator. I just put what I know about data out there for everyone to consume. So that's me in a nutshell.
Love it. I love it. So, you're a content creator, you're a senior manager in analytics, but at some point you had to get your start. So, what really compels you to get into data to begin with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, back, I majored in computer science in school. So, when I got out of school, data wasn't like it wasn't like the hot field that everyone was trying to get into. This was pre-social media and pre-monetizing data, and everyone using data to create products or what have you. So I got into computer science because I was influenced heavily by um, probably gaming when I was much younger. I had my Commodore 64 when I was a little kid and played a lot of games and programmed in BASIC. I just got into computer science when I went to Clark Atlanta. Shout out to Clark Atlanta HBCUs. I know you went to TSU,
Yes,
HBCUs
sir.
now.
Got to represent the HBCUs.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, so I majored in computer science, and then when it was time to get out, I mean, I learned that hey, in computer science, it's not all about programming. Yes, I learned how to program, but it was like a lot of how to think, and a lot of it was logic and like all these kind of hey, this is how you think. And so I took a database class, or you have to take a database class. I learned SQL, but you never know what you're going to use when you're in school, when you get out. So I took the class. I thought it was interesting. All right, I learned some SQL. And then when I got out into the real world, it was like, hey, it's all about data. It's all about database. We see you have SQL on your resume. I was using kind of like Microsoft Access back in the day. It's like, yeah, this is what we use, man. We need this. So I just kind of got into it right out of school. This was before it was cool to be in data. So I just kind of wouldn't say luck, but I got into this before it was kind of big. Everyone wants to get into data now, but I just kind of lucked out and found it early.
That's awesome. Like that's such a fascinating journey, right? To computer science, where it's I think it's mostly programmatic coding, right? Where you're line by line,
Mm,
and you got SQL and everything. It's just the
yeah.
path to where you can go is just crazy. So it's always fascinating to hear everybody's journey. All right, so understanding that there were probably some jobs that you had beforehand in your career or in your personal life. So to date, what has been your least favorite job that you've had?
Least favorite job. Well, I'm fortunate in that I don't have a lot of candidates to choose from there. Yeah. But let's see. My first job out of school as a data analyst, love that work, right? Still do to this day. Always been good with data. And then I think I got to a point when I was living in Nashville, and I love the job there and everything. But when you're younger, you're like, oh, what else can I do? Like, let me just see. So I took another path. I kind of got into a completely different industry and function, more like on the real estate side, and good people there, smart people, real hustle mentality. But I was like, I don't know if I like this. I kind of like my data. And so the good thing that came out of that was, it's kind of a little bit at a crossroads. I was like, should I go back to school? I think I want to go back to school. Let's put some business knowledge on top of these data skills I have, and let's see, how far that can take me. But yeah, I would say that job that I got after, my first job as a data analyst, different industry, just wasn't the right fit for me. So, you know, Again, good people there. Nothing wrong with kind of people. Just wasn't the right fit for me. So
Yeah, totally makes sense. I think we all had that moment in our journey where it's like, maybe let me explore and try something a little different, and
yeah,
then it reels you back into what you do enjoy doing, and the things that make you strong.
that's right. If you don't try something else, how do you know? you
Exactly.
know what you're
Exactly.
doing is for you. That was my mentality. I was younger. I was like, let me just try some other stuff. All right, I like data. I really
Yeah.
like data.
All right. So, what would you consider your biggest failure, with quotation marks around failure,
Mm,
and what did you learn from that experience?
okay, let's see. Biggest failure. Well, again, I'm fortunate. I haven't had a lot of failure. I mean, we all have failures, but I haven't had a lot. I would say there's probably a position that um, maybe I stayed in a little bit too long. I like have you heard that learning or earning framework? You need to be learning or earning,
Yeah.
right? And so I was kind of at a point where I wasn't doing either. So it's like, if you're not doing either, you need to figure something out. I probably lingered in that role a little bit too long. And then I finally got to a position where I was doing both. So I went from doing neither to doing both. So, if I had to choose a fair, that'd probably be something I'd go back and try to you know well, again, think about it. Like, if you don't have those failures, are you in the same position you are today? So that's you
Yeah.
got to take the good with the bad. So so
Definitely.
that probably wouldn't change much.
And that's why I always put quotation marks around failures, because they're not a failure. You learn everything from it, and everybody who's who's successful and growing, like you have it, and you fail forward. It was like you
Yeah,
gain something from every
that's right.
single failure that you have.
That's right. I just saw the Flash movie last night. You go back in time and then change some stuff. I'm like, nah. You gotta keep it, because
Yeah, yeah.
that
It
makes
makes
you who
you who
you
you
are.
are. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. All right. So, what's one lesson your job has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
A lesson. So, all right. So I'll take you back. I'm gonna take you back to like an MBA kind of lesson. I had a data and analytics teacher that broke this down for me. He talked about there's an author of a book. His name's Harvey Coleman, and he wrote a book called Empowering Yourself. And in there's this principle called the pie principle, right? If you want to get ahead, right? These are people gunning for the top, right? Um, and he said, like, hey, there's this pie principle: performance, image, exposure. Those are the three factors. And where people normally think, hey, performance is the number one factor, is the most heavily weighted factor. That's only 10% of the game. So how well you do, a lot of people do well. That's like table stakes. That's par for the course, performance. Um, he says performance is 10% of the game, image 30%. Image meaning, like, hey, what's your demeanor, how do you dress, these kind of intangible things, not getting into you know being a person of color, or like a woman, generation, just based on, like, what is your attitude, and what do you wear. If everyone in your company wears white shirts, you wear a blue shirt, are you going to be considered, are you going to be considered to move up? No, you're not kind of conforming in that way. And again, this book was written in the 90s, so
Right.
we've got some more leeway these
Yeah,
days.
exactly.
And then yeah, we got some more leeway. Yeah, it was written in the 90s. And then, that image is 30% of the game. And so exposure is 60%. Like, it's not enough, again, to just do well in your job. Image, yeah, you have to do that, but the exposure, who do you know, who are you networking with, how can you get yourself noticed by people that make a difference in your org? So, inside your org and outside your org, right? Like, how do I know about Lovelytics? I know about Lovelytics because of you. Right? You're out here, you're making yourself visible in a positive way. That's good for your company, right? So that's exposure that you have brought upon yourself in your company, and people in your company know what you can do. So, I think my data and analytics professor broke that down for me. Not like org behavior professor, although I learned some good stuff in org behavior, but that was an interesting lesson. I saw those dynamics play out in the workplace after I graduated too. So yeah, Pi principle, Harvey Coleman.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I actually haven't heard it expressed that way, like the 10, 30, 60. But it makes sense,
Yeah,
right? I think we all know some really high performing individuals, but they might have an awful attitude and they're like stuck in their corner and not talking to anybody. And it's
right.
just like they're not moving up at the rate that you would expect. But the exposure piece makes a lot of sense. That's a really good nugget.
Yeah.
I'm gonna really harp on that one and chew on that one. That was a really good one.
Yeah, yeah. I think about it, man. You do your job well, no one notices, right? Like just okay, I do my job well. Like
Yeah.
no one's taking a notice, right? You got to get people to know what you can do.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, that was a lesson that I learned in school. It's like, wow, yeah, and that definitely does take place in the real world.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So understanding that's one lesson that you got, but some people are just starting out in their career. So
Yeah, yeah,
what is one piece of advice you'd give someone who's just
yeah,
starting out in their career?
yeah. So, assuming you want to be in data or just in general,
In general.
either
Let's just
way,
do in general.
in
Yeah.
general,
Yeah.
in general. All right. So, for data, I would say, hey, you gotta learn SQL, you gotta learn Excel, you gotta learn a Viz tool. With you like Tableau, you like Click, you like Power BI, whatever it is. Learn something, right, to put on top of that. For someone just kind of starting out in their career, a lot of people kind of ask this. Again, it goes back to visibility. A lot of people want to break into data, and it goes back to, all right, what projects do you have? Even if you have no work experience, like what projects have you worked on? What do you have out there where people can go out and just kind of take a look and see what you're about, right? We have these incredible platforms where we can share what we've done and what we know. And so you have to be conscientious of what you put out there, what people can consume and see what you can do. It gives you an edge. I mean, it really gives you an edge. People are going to look you up and see what you can do. So if you're just trying to break into the data or any role, right, is there a way that you can differentiate yourself and put something out there so people um, just already can see what you can do before you even start talking to them. So
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think both of us can articulate that from either a content creation or a public portfolio facing. Like, I know for me, like the
yeah,
moment I started publicly posting stuff, like
yeah.
the brand recognition or whatever, it just like shot up. And it made the process much easier to advance in my career.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, I think that there are benefits. You put something out there and again, you don't even have to be the expert at something. Just learn something, share it.
Yeah.
Right? In the process of learning that, wow, now you become an expert, or people will come to you. They'll come ask you questions. That forces more learning. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
definitely.
Awesome. All right, Anthony, where can the listeners find you at online?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube, Anthony Smoak. You can find me on my personal blog, anthonysmoak.com. I talk about data related issues. I'm on LinkedIn. Those are probably the big three. I'm on the gram, Anthony Smoak Data. You search for me. I'm out there. I'm
Yeah.
not hard to find.
Follow him. Follow him on YouTube. He has 200,000, 100 million
No,
followers on him. Subscribe. Check him.
20K. We got a little meager 20K. We trying.
Oh man, well this was great, man. Appreciate you, brother, for doing this podcast. Thank you so much. And
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. I appreciate it.
yeah,
Anytime.
yeah, appreciate it, man. And if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we will talk to y'all next week. Y'all have a great night, and y'all take it easy. Have a good one.